Okay, so let's jump right in with a big question. What does it actually mean to be a citizen? It sounds simple, right? But the answer defines one of the most powerful relationships in our lives. Today, we're going to dig into that relationship by comparing two totally different systems, one from the ancient world and one from right now.
So really think about it. Is being a citizen just about having a passport? Or is there something deeper going on? As we're about to find out, the answer has changed, like a lot, over time, and it still looks completely different depending on where you live in the world.
All right, so here's our roadmap. First, we'll break down citizenship as this core relationship. Then, we'll take a trip back in time to compare ancient Athens with today to see just how different things can be. We'll get into why they're so different, how the definition is always evolving, and finally, why any of this matters to you. So first things first, let's get this one idea straight. Being a citizen is not just about a document. It's a fundamental relationship, and it goes way, way beyond a piece of paper. At its heart, citizenship is a two-way street. It's kind of like a contract, both legal and social, between you and your government. It lays out the terms of belonging, what's expected of you, and what you can expect in return. It's not a static label. It's an active, living connection. And this relationship is all about balance. Picture an old-school balancing scale. On one side, you've got your rights, all the freedoms your society says you have, like free speech or the right to vote. And on the other side, well, you have your duties, the things required of you, like paying taxes or serving on a jury. A healthy citizenship is all about keeping that scale in balance, the give and the take. Now, let's see this in action and how that balance can look completely different. We're going to put the model of citizenship in the modern United States up against one of the most famous systems in history, ancient Athens.
Okay, one of the first huge differences you see is in how people participate. In ancient Athens, they had a direct democracy. If you were a citizen, you physically showed up and voted on the laws yourself. Pretty cool, right? But here in the US, we have a representative system. We elect people, officials, to go and vote on our behalf. So the Athenian way was direct, but as we're about to see, it was also incredibly exclusive.
And that brings us to the really big one. Who even got to be a citizen in the first place? In Athens, it was unbelievably exclusive. You had to be a free, land-owning man, and both of your parents had to be Athenian. This was all by design, of course. It was a way to keep political power in the hands of a very small, very similar group of people. Women, slaves, foreigners, they were all completely left out. That's a huge contrast to the modern US, which, at least on paper, aims for a much wider, more inclusive definition of who belongs. So we've seen the what, the big differences between these two models. But now let's get to the why. Why are the rules so drastically different? The answer really gets to the heart of how a society works.
Right. So why would one society lock down participation so tightly while another tries to open it up? Well, it's not random. These rules are intentional, and they tell you everything you need to know about what that society believes.
You can think of a country's definition of a citizen as a blueprint for its soul, really. It reflects its core values, its history, and most importantly, its form of government. For example, an authoritarian government is going to define citizenship very narrowly because it wants to maintain control and demand loyalty. But a representative democracy, it's going to need a broader definition to encourage people to participate and to protect individual rights.
But here's where it gets even more interesting. This definition doesn't just change from place to place. It's constantly shifting within the exact same country. Let's just take a look at how the idea of citizenship has evolved right here in the United States.
This timeline really tells a story, and the story of American citizenship is one of expansion. I mean, it started with a definition that was almost as narrow as ancient Athens, basically just for white, male property owners. But then look what happens. Major social changes like the Civil War, the women's suffrage movement, and the Civil Rights era all led to huge constitutional changes, amendments that expanded who gets to be a citizen and have a voice. It just proves how dynamic this whole relationship really is.
And that brings us to our last and probably most important point. Why does any of this matter to you right now? Well, the answer is pretty simple. Because you are an active character in this ongoing story.
If you take just one thing away from our time together, please let it be this. Citizenship isn't something you just have. It's something you do. It is a living, breathing relationship between you and your community, and it's constantly being shaped and redefined by whether or not you participate.
I think this quote just nails it. Understanding citizenship is really about understanding that there's this constant conversation happening between a person and their government. It's a conversation about rights, about responsibilities, and about what it even means to belong. And your participation, your voice, is an absolutely essential part of that conversation.
So that leaves us with one final big question to think about. We've seen how citizenship has changed from ancient Athens to today, and even inside one country over the centuries. So, as our world keeps changing with new technologies and new challenges, what is it going to mean to be a citizen tomorrow? The answer is still being written, and you're one of the authors. Thanks for tuning in.